Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizzano, and this is another episode of the world famous, the University Love, the best podcast, ladies and gentlemen, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 galaxies. All right? But ladies and gentlemen, we just call this show Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. Ladies and gents, today we are going to talk about something very important. We are going to talk about money. No, we're going to talk about money, and we are going to talk about content creation. Ladies and gents, I'm here to tell you one thing, that the goal of this show is to give you hope, is to give you to thinking. The goal of this show is to help you. I used to say, ladies and gentlemen, I would say, if you want to keep working your job, blah, 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 blah. Ladies and gentlemen, from now on, I will never say that again. Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you up front, I'll be very honest with you. Ladies and gentlemen, I think all of us listening to this show, not, your friends and family, whatever. But if you're listening to this show, then you want to do something different with your life. You want to be an entrepreneur. You want to work for yourself. You want to free yourself from the perils of working a job, because as we all know, a job will pay your light bill, a job will pay your cable, but a job won't make you financially stable for the most part. You have to figure out things for yourself to create some cash flow, to create some income for yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, one way to do that is to create content. And the reason why I say that is because, listen, the thing about creating content is you have it forever. Think about this. Let's look at a show like Friends, okay? Friends has like 200 and some episodes. Friends was on for 11 years, okay? So, last year they made a big deal. I think Friends sold to HBO, to Time Warner. They bought the rights to show it on Comedy Central and other various places for, I don't know how much money, but it was a lot of money. And the same as my favorite show, Seinfeld. Like, every year I've read this article, like one of the people from Seinfeld, they make like $5 million from all the dealings or whatever, and they were just an actor on the show, which is cool and everything. But just imagine a guy like Jerry Seinfeld, how much money he makes, because he co-created the show. You know what I mean? It's like, if you create content, you can, and the content. Now listen, we all know, I'm giving you examples of the highest of the high. Right? You know this, I know this, okay? Of course. Now, is every show going to make as much money as Friends and Seinfeld? No. But what if you could make half of that? What if you could make a quarter of that? Can you imagine if let's say you start doing YouTube channel. Let's say you have a YouTube channel and you produce content for like a year straight. And finally, after a year, because listen, people, everybody's not going to hit at the same time, okay? Let's say you've been creating content for a year, and then all of a sudden you have one video takes off. What are people gonna do? What are people gonna do, genius? They're gonna go back into the archives. They're gonna go back. They're gonna go back. You know, not everybody, but a lot of people are gonna go back, watch some old videos of you, see some old videos, and those videos are gonna start generating money. You know, those videos can generate some more income for you. You can get more views. You can get your views up, your membership up, yada yada yada. Because the most important thing you want to do when creating content, you want to be able to you want to have the ability to keep the people there. You know, let's say somebody wants to binge listen to you. You know, if you have plenty of videos, they could go back and back and back and back. They could drive down the highway. Let's say somebody's going on a trip, you know, and this could happen. Let's say somebody's going on a trip. They have like an hour and a half to go. They say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna watch, you know, Billy's videos." You got 30 videos up there, 60 videos up there, an hour and a half. They're watching Billy's videos, and then they walk in the house and they say, well, "How was your trip?" "Oh, it was good. I watched Billy's videos. Billy's so great. Billy's so cool. Blah 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 blah." And then somebody says, "Who's Billy? Send me a link." They send them a link. Boom. You might get you another fan. You know, of course, it's not gonna work for everybody, but you never know. And the more content you create, the more of a chance you have to create dollars. Because, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I've always, I've known this since I was 20 years old. I've known this since I was a kid, you know. The hardest thing to do, ladies and gentlemen, is work. Sit at a job for a while, you know. And I'm just being honest. The first job that I had, not working on the farm, not working out in the farm work, you know, unless you own the farm, it didn't pay good back in the days. But the first actual job that I had was I worked at a grocery store, and it was in 1995. I was 16 years old, and in 1995, I remember I was making $4. Brace yourself, kids. Some of you might want to sit down when you hear this. 1995, I was a young 16-year-old. I got a job at the grocery store. I was making $4.25 an hour. Ladies and gentlemen, that is $4.25. $4.25 an hour. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, your boy was getting rich. Okay? And I remember I worked that job. I worked 2 hours a day in the beginning, because that's all they had. I was the last one to get hired. So I was getting two hours a day from 5 to 7. The grocery store closed at 7 o'clock. And I remember my paycheck every week was $50. $50, okay? I remember this like it was yesterday. Took me 2 weeks to save up and buy a pair of Felines. I remember this. For some of you people, you're not gonna know the name, but I remember I saved up and I got the Jamal Mashburn Feline editions. Kids, if you don't know Jamal Mashburn, look him up. He was an NBA player. He was pretty good. He had to deal with Feline. I bought him out of a magazine. I remember this like it was yesterday. I gave my mom the money. The postman came, and back in those days, you know, I didn't have a credit card, so we used to do COD, charge on delivery, kids. Okay? Paid my money. Took me 2 weeks to save up that money, but I got my shoes. $50 a week, going in every day, making peanuts. Okay? But the problem that I had, and the problem that a lot of people had, is now I'm gonna say something, and I'm gonna contradict myself. So I'm gonna tell you that right now. The problem that I had is I grew up in a household where my parents, God bless them, they didn't know a lot about money. They knew how to survive when it came to money. They didn't know how to thrive with money. And so, for the first, up until I'm 18, I could say, I didn't really know a heck of a lot. But after that point, once you become an adult, it's on you to learn. You could grab a book, you could read a book, you could learn about stocks. I remember when I was 21, I went down to this stock place, and I was talking to the guy, and I remember because I always wanted to learn how to make money. I always wanted to learn how to create some type of money because, listen, I worked at that grocery store. I didn't make a lot of money. I worked at a restaurant my senior year of high school. I didn't make a lot of money. I was in the Navy, not a lot of money. And then when I went to the financial place, I might have been 22, and I was like, hey man, I want to learn how to invest in the stock market, And the guy was like, I'm impressed, you're 22. And I was like, I ain't making no money, so I gotta learn how to make money for myself, you know what I mean? And I've done pretty good. I've done alright. I'm not gonna say pretty good. I'm gonna say I've done alright. I got things going, you know what I mean? But I haven't quite hit the top the way I want. It's there. It's coming. But the financial education that I've gotten is a hell of a lot better than what I started off as. And I will be able to teach my daughter things at an early age. Because I'll tell you a story. And I know we're gonna get back to content creation and you making money, but I really want you to, because lately I just really been focused, and lately I've really been honing in on the fact that I'm doing this podcast, and I'm still at this job, not I got one foot out the door. I'll be honest with you, I don't do a lot around here no more. You know what I mean? It's they give me the people that I work with, they give me the last 2 months, they've been giving me such a hard time. It's like they're like, we need more production. I'm like, hey man, I'm doing what I can, man. I can't dedicate all my time here because I'm not gonna be here very, very much longer. So I'm not, blah blah blah. I try to be honest with them, but you know how that goes. And sometimes it's just like, and sometimes if you have the ability, I'm not telling you what to do, but if you are like young, I'm not gonna, how do I say this? If you're young, because when I was like 21, one of the things I probably should have done, which, like I said, you can't blame anybody but yourself. But if I would have known what I known, I probably would have never took a job at the prison. You know what I mean? I would have just sat around my parents' house and figured out how can I start generating money for myself, because money comes and goes. I know this for a fact. It's been periods of time where I've made a lot of money. There's been periods of time that I'm like, what the hell's going on, And it is what it is. It's not, I don't really get all carried away about it, I don't get all, upset, I try things. I've taken chances. I fell down. I've hit some doubles. I've hit a home run or two. I've done things that I'm like, hey man, this worked out. Hey man, it ain't worked out. And so, it is what it is for me. But for you, if you have the opportunity to do that all the time, I should suggest you definitely go for it, because listen, if you fall on your face, kids, there's always a job. There's always a job available. It's not like, if you ever need to go and make a few bucks, and you're just like, I need to make a few bucks. I need to take a break, And hey, listen, I've been there. I've taken months off before from trying to wrap my head around, how to make some money, how to generate. I'm not gonna say how to make, but how to generate money. That's my main thing is how to generate income, how to generate, money, create assets for yourself, and not so much, liabilities. I have this discussion with my wife sometimes, and my wife, she says certain things, and it's like, like she says the house is an asset, but the house is, unless you can use your house as a way to make some money, let's say you have a downstairs and you want to turn that into like a little apartment, and then I wouldn't, but you can rent it out to somebody. If you start looking at your house like that, then it can be an asset. But for the most part, ladies and gentlemen, a house is a liability. It's not I'm not saying it's a bad thing, good thing, or what, but it is what it is, because you'll spend a heck of a lot of money trying to fix up your house. You know what I mean? And so my wife tells me that, I'm just like, okay, but I just sort of shake my head and go, all right, honey, if you say so, and keep it moving. But it's a liability. And it's like one time somebody was trying to tell me about a timeshare. A timeshare is a liability. There's a lot of liabilities, but you want to create an asset. You want to create assets, as much as possible. You want to be generating money as much as possible, as much as you can. And the more you are able to create money, create streams of revenue for yourself. I'm not saying you have to find 8, 9, Hey man, if you could do one thing and it generate money for you, hey, God bless you, knock it out. But make sure, don't just do one thing. Have two things going for you, So that way you never, because honestly, one thing about us, one thing about people like me and you is there's always going to be negativity, There's always going to be shenanigans when it comes to banks, when it comes to people in general. Because people get upset. People get jealous because you go for it. Like, people will be upset because you want to start a YouTube channel. And people will tell you, I have a cousin, God bless him. If you tell him, hey man, I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel, he'll say, man, everybody got a YouTube channel. Hey man, everybody might have a YouTube channel, but what does that matter? That should not matter to you. There's no such. I used to think, I used to have the same kind of thought, like, oh man, the market's saturated, There's no such thing as a saturated market. If you can tell a good story, if you can market yourself, there's no such thing as saturation. There's going to be people you move ahead of. There's going to be people you climb above. But there ain't no such thing as a saturated market, Now, some things, like if you say, hey man, I'm going to do keto videos. You're gonna have to bring it, you know what I mean? You're gonna have to entertain the people, I mean? You know that, and I know that there's a lot of people claiming keto diets and all that kind of stuff. So you're gonna have to figure out a unique way to, really hone in on it. You know what I mean? And so it can be done. Don't get me wrong, but creating content is something that you can do. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you a little bit of a blueprint I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about buying a truck. And making that into a situation where I, take one truck and then, work hard pretty quickly and then get 2 trucks. And I thought about this, and I thought, okay, I buy the truck, boom, have the truck. What could I do for information-wise about the truck? What could I do? I can record myself. I can do weekly podcasts. I can start building the email list about people who are interested in getting into trucking. This is the information side of the thing, not because you have to start thinking like this. It's how many ways, and I heard this from the great Dan Kennedy. How many ways can I slice this pie? How much money can I make from this one situation. What can I do? And I thought about this when it comes to the truck. Buy the truck. Start doing loads. Start booking loads, doing my loads. Start filming myself, talking about it on starting a YouTube channel about truck driving, because I've been truck driving for 15, 16 years. I have plenty of information. Doing videos, doing a podcast, doing building the email list, generating the email list, emailing these people, seeing what they want, seeing what they need, and then creating like a PDF or an ebook or just a book, a Kindle book that you can, create, like, hey, how to start a profitable trucking business, blah, 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 things like that. And you can build from that. And that will be the start of a lot of different, information. Just as well as the book that I'm definitely gonna write is how to start a successful podcast. And how do you define success? Very easily. It's not that hard. If you get one person, 2 people, 3 people to listen to you, 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, does not matter how small the podcast is. You are a success because you got started. You are a success because you are out here. You are a success because you are taking the risk. Success does not mean, everybody's not going to be LeBron James. Everybody's not going to be a 4-time NBA champion, $1 billion athlete. Success is you putting yourself out there, you trying, you doing something that's a lot different than what the formula of life is. We all know what the formula of life is for most people. Go to college, get a job, what do people always say? Get a 9-to-5 job, buy your house in the suburbs, get married, have babies, save up, work until you're 65, yada, yada, yada. This is what people want from you, but there's a lot more, there's a lot of people, you included, who want to do something different than that. And if you break that mold, if you break away from that, you're a success. If you start a podcast, a YouTube channel, you have 5, 6 people, 7 people. Everything. Some things are gonna take off quick, some things ain't. But the most important thing is don't think, oh man, I suck because my content is not getting listened to. Sometimes it takes a while, but the thing I always say, don't matter, just don't quit. The worst thing you can do is quit. Never give up. I don't care if you hell. Let me tell you something. You could have this dream of doing XYZ. You could be 21. And let's say 7 years later, you're quite not there yet, but you're almost there. But let's say by the time you're 33, boom, you're doing what you want to do. You had the dream of 21. Does that make you man, it took me so long? It's not about that, man. You're here now. You know what I mean? You are here. Eventually, you will get there. It's just a matter of you doing what you need to do, doing what you got to do. Focus. Hone in on it. Don't get distracted with all this BS going around. Don't be caught up in watching TV all day long. Just create the content. Does not matter what kind of content it is. If you work somewhere, if you have a job right now, create content about that. If you work at a bank, create content about working at a bank. Talk about the ups and downs of working at a bank. If you work at a grocery store, talk about that. Hell, I saw a guy write an ebook about driving Lyft. There's so many things you can do that does not require a lot of money. That's one thing. Don't get caught up in money. Money's fleeting. Money comes and goes. You don't need a lot of money to get started on anything. You don't need a lot of money to get started with information. Information is knowledge, is power. If you have information, share it with the people. Go on Reddit forums, and if you are let's say my cousin one time, he was telling me he did DoorDash. He started looking at YouTube videos about people doing DoorDash. You could do that. There's so many ways you can make content or whatever you got going on right now. You just don't have to be, oh man, I'm breaking away. I'm quitting my job. You can talk about. You could bring that up on your adventures. Just start off making content. If you have a job right now, just start off making content. If you don't have a job, talk about being unemployed. Talk about the feeling that brings. People want to hear people's thoughts. And you ain't got to be world renowned. You ain't got to be super famous to share your opinions. Everybody has an opinion, sir, ma'am, and you should be able to give yours. And you can connect to people. You never know how you connect with somebody until you try, okay? And so content can create a lot of dollars for you, and so it's because I see videos, people all the time, and they're like, this video is 9 years old, and somebody's gonna watch it, you know what I mean? I have 17 silly videos on YouTube. I haven't done a video in a year. Maybe shorter than that, but I can't remember. I keep saying, yeah, I'm a creator, man. Yeah, I will, but right now I got a new subscriber. Every week somebody's watching a video. Every week I'm like, oh man, somebody watched the video. That's cool. And it's the same. It's definitely the same with the podcast. Sometimes I'll see like 70 downloads, 80 downloads on a Sunday, and I haven't done anything. And I'm like, what's going on? Somebody found the podcast. Somebody's been listening, and that's cool. And I haven't done anything. I haven't put in any work that weekend, and it's like, all right, some people's watching, so it don't hurt for you to create content. It does not hurt. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is the longest episode we've had in a while, but I just want to emphasize: create as much content as you possibly can. Okay, don't be shy. Share your opinions, share your thoughts, and this could be capital This could be capital, and you don't even know it. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that is it for the podcast. We will be back tomorrow with an all-new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. And as always, everybody, peace.